welcome and good afternoon. This is Theatra with Freedom Reigns on Free Thinking Radio. We're going to do something a little different than what most of our Freedom Reigns listeners have experienced before. But on Thursdays, we are going to start having guest co-hosts. And today we are going to have Bill Wood with us. And I'm really excited to have Bill because he's got the military background, the knowledge. He's a seasoned vet in the fight for freedom. And I want to go ahead and welcome Bill. Bill, welcome. Your mic is open.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation very much, and I, too, am looking forward to co-hosting today's show.
Yes. I understand that you have a lot of questions for our guest today, who is Drake. As I'm really looking forward to your questions, because I know I spend all day long answering questions and forwarding questions and comments and stuff to Drake and resending them out. And so this is kind of a really good place for us to do this. And you and I have spoken in the past, and I was very impressed with your knowledge and skill and what all you have done. And so I want to go ahead and at this time we'll bring Drake in too. I'm going to open Drake's mic up. Drake,
hello.
You there? Hi.
Yes, I be.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to let Bill run with this.
Come on with it, Bill.
You got the floor, honey.
Okay, well, I do want to thank Freedom Reigns and Blog Talk Radio and Wolf Spirit Radio for producing this show and giving me the opportunity to sit down with Drake and go over some what I have gotten as new information. But I think Drake would agree with me that things are really heating up in the past couple of days. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to touch base on is the Neil Keenan lawsuit. Did note that Drake was a call-in guest last night on the Project Camelot show with Kerry Cassidy, and caught it as soon as he jumped on the line and was impressed to hear from him. But I did want to give Drake the opportunity to talk about what Keith Scott had to say last night and allow him the opportunity to clarify the points that I think he was trying to get out. So do you want to take that one?
Well, that's an awful pregnant question.
Yes,
basically,
it is.
The easiest way for me to do this is for people that really want to know what's going on is to listen to that recording. It basically explains the primary situation of the finances of the globe. This also includes individual countries, and that's slightly different in different aspects. The premise of what is being done is basically to remove the financial basis for the bad guys, cabal, whatever you want to call it, in order to take the financial power in such a manner that they have nothing left. Now, a lot of people are concerned in a lot of ways as to what happens when the banks close, and one of the things I've suggested a lot of people do is to get a hold of silver coin, that sort of thing. If you can afford it, a little gold wouldn't hurt you, just to hold on to. Lay up a little groceries, this sort of thing. You're looking at a period of anywhere from 2-3 days to a couple weeks maybe. In the meantime, the premise is this. The plan that I've been privileged to be invited to look at takes into account this closing. Now, one of the things people don't understand is that you have to zero a currency out before you can truly revalue it. You can have a partial revaluation without zeroing a currency out. But that still leaves value. And the problem is that the size of what is being dealt with is so enormous that were the dollar to go to 10 cents, they'd provide a truckload to make up the difference to somebody they wanted to hire to do something. This power needs to be totally removed, and that's why you zero it out and let it stay that way for a couple of days. In the process, the bulk of the remainder of the plan then comes into effect almost immediately. Part of that is that your lights are not going to be turned off. Phone should still work, toilet flush, usual things. The idea is a transition. It's not a takeover, and it's not a military coup. It's not what people think because of the agreement to the plan by those operating it, which is to return to our original documentation and to return to sovereignty. This includes individuals as well as groups. So in terms of the lawsuit itself, it's not been finalized yet, and as I understand it, things are in process to do so. So within the next few days, give or take, possibly you'll see some action. I don't know the itinerary, and if I did, I would not be putting it out on the air for sure. People are just going to have to wait a little bit, and believe me, it's hard. When you know what's happening, it's even more difficult when you don't.
Hey, Drake, if you don't mind, Drake, I checked on the PACER website, and it states that the defendants have until May 11th to respond.
I understand that, but that's not the entirety of the thing. There's several actions that are to be taken, whether they've responded or not. There's a consummate difference between what everybody's used to in terms of legality and law, between what's being done and the premise for it or basis of it. And this is why I suggest everybody who has not listened to what Keith had to say on that interview. One of the bases that they're attempting to accomplish, that will be accomplished actually because it can't be refused, is to free everyone from the financial control, suppression, etc., that everybody in Europe, United States, and most of the world has been living under. The manner in which you do that is to take the legs out from under the finances. When you can't pay the goons, they don't show up. It's just that simple. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, very well. So that leads into the next area that I wanted to touch on because there seemed to be quite a bit of confusion over this. I don't think people are 100% taking into account that this lawsuit isn't just being fought in the U.S. courts. So if you could take a couple of minutes and explain how maritime law or admiralty law is being used in this situation as well as U.S. law.
Maritime admiralty law has been sort of merged over the past history, and so most people look at it strictly in admiralty terms. And under admiralty terms, there is what's called a maritime bill, and everybody is familiar with a bill of lading. This is similar to that, only it is, in this case, a financial instrument and instruments and the legal rights to what those instruments deal with. Those are the collateral accounts, as they're called, and those are the, quote, official portions of the finance for revaluation. What is transpiring is that the Federal Reserve and other banking institutions, European Central Banking, United States Central Banking, Bank of International Settlements, etc., have been absconding with portions of these accounts. By that I mean they can either outright steal it, in some cases they will leverage it, in some cases lease it. There's a lot of different ways to attach to it and falsely derive value from it. This has been the basis for the central banking system since this started back in the 1700s. The difference is that the legal rights to these accounts have been consolidated, and the consolidation of that bears to the lawsuit. Now, here in the United States, everybody's probably familiar with the liens that have been placed on the 12 central banks or federal banks. In Europe, there are about another half dozen that have been liened recently, along with the Bank of International Settlements. None of these institutions had at any time base rights to use any of the collateral funds. However, they did so anyway. The position is that they now get to repay what they have been playing games with forever. So basically, you're going to ask banks who don't have the currency to come up with what's called lawful currency, which is gold. And according to the original agreements of anything that was allowed to be used, the payments at, I believe it's 4% per annum. And This is some tons in the trillions of gold. And the whole of the banking systems that I know of are not close to having that sort of bullion on hand. Therefore, they can't pay. They're put in default and subsequently bankrupt. So the central banking system is due to be closed very soon. Does that answer that?
So, yes. And so in that bankruptcy, when they can't provide the real value currency, by bankrupting the banks, it basically gives legal rights to go in, take over, and run the system by basically, not by the Neil Keenan lawsuit, but because of it. So basically it's returning all of the rights to the money that was originally put into the accounts by the original account holders. Is that basically correct in what I'm saying?
Yes, and there's also, what you have to remember, there are several rather lengthy agreements as to the use of the funds, designations for putting everybody back to work, taking care of infrastructure that we've not bothered to slap a coat of paint on even, you name it. And what it basically will mean is an extraordinary, I don't know what you call it, a jump start of everything you can think of economically. Now, the other part of what's going on in terms of doing this, there are emergency food stores that have been laid up in case people don't get a delivery at the grocery, and they're in dire need. Along with that, as I said, the infrastructure type things such as, water service and that sort of thing, electrical, is supposed to be preserved. And this is, as I said, a basic part of the plan so that people don't have to go all crazy and full of anxiety screaming in the streets about something that isn't even going to happen. This is what they want to avoid. They do not want to have chaos in the people that are involved in this. They do not want to cause extraordinary grief in terms of what people would think they would see. So what you're